Hey, welcome into a special live edition of Outlaw Fantasy. It's the Super Bowl edition, Super Bowl 56. Getting excited about the game here in just a matter of, 4.5 hours kickoff. And I tell you what, a week of preseason, 2 weeks of preseason, 3 weeks of preseason, and then you get through 18 weeks of regular season football to end up to this point right here. The big game, and one team we thought would be there and one team we did not expect, according to a lot of the FBI on ESPN, which is the football percentage index. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But back here on a Sunday, he and I saved it for this special edition today, presented by Bangtail Whiskey and, of course, our friends over at MitchMax.com. So if you got questions for us, leave them in the margin. We're live on our YouTube channel, The Backstage Pass, and, of course, the Backstage Pass Facebook page, and, of course, my own personal page out there. CJ Garton back in the house. Brother, it's gonna be a fun game. What's up?
I'm eating a chocolate donut. It's delicious.
I'm gonna have a few of those, like I said, grilling later for the party and stuff like that. So
we're having a Super Bowl party at the house today. I got friends coming over, but you got to sneak a little breakfast in at lunch.
Mm-hmm. At lunch, brunch. There you go.
Hot wings. We got big old sushi platter coming.
I like that.
We got Wagyu balls.
Okay, I like that. You got a little bit of everything on the menu, which is good for everybody that's having that party. I think I'm going to do sausage and different kinds, deer sausage and some other little stuff I got. Boudin, of course, people don't know what that is. They don't know the South very well, but Boudin is one of the best DJs out there. Free plug for them. And we're going to do a little bit of everything, man. Hamburgers and just kind of enjoy it with the immediate family. And like I said, look back and and I'll start right here. A team that definitely mortgaged the future. Since the move back to Los Angeles in 2016. This and one of the best young head coaches, if not arguably the best young head coach in football, Sean McVay. This ought to be fun. I mean, this is a matchup that we break down. We placed our bets yesterday in a number of prop bets. Bengals, Rams, here we go. Put up or shut up, right?
It's all going to come down to the final few minutes of the game, I think. This game might be closer than people realize. I can definitely say, though, the Rams defense seemed to be talking a whole lot of smack.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like, not in a bad way, but in a way to where they say that they're really going to be focused on Burrow. Von Miller paying attention to the key guys like Kupp. It's important to take your best players and really attack their other team's best players. Aaron Donald, he's going to be coming at Burrow, and he ain't no slouch, buddy.
No, he's no slouch. And like I said, that probably is arguably the best defensive line in football there. When you have to factor in Leonard Floyd can like I said, walk outside and play an easy 7 technique out there to outside linebacker, walk him down. He can line up there in a 5 tech or 3 tech inside. Aaron Donald, and of course, you got to deal with just a great push and penetration they're going to get from their defensive line. So 9 sacks in the Titans game. I expect this to be kind of more of the same a little bit, but he's going to have to be, he being Joe Burrow, he's going to have to be more mobile, get outside the pocket, look to make plays downfield, stretch the field a lot, and hopefully T. Higgins and Boyd, and of course his number one receiver Chase can make plays. And congratulations to Jamar Chase for winning the Offensive Player of the Year award. I was very excited to see that too at the same time, and Burrow getting Comeback Player of the Year.
Yeah, and congratulations to Kupp to hit trifecta this year, man. Triple crown, turnaround. Fantasy Player of the Year, then overall Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, just phenomenal year for Kupp. One thing I see next year is when we're talking fantasy, it's going to be hard to live up to the expectation what he achieved this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was scoring points like a QB would for you in your league. And, for anybody that drafted him, good on you. I should have done it, but I got distracted by Woods on the board first as he was down. I had every intention to draft him, and I just didn't. You know how you're in that moment, you got that clock ticking down, all of a sudden you just pick a panic play. I actually just overlooked that. And if I would have done that, that might have been the difference between getting a big old win and winning money in our league this year versus third place or something like that. So.
Yeah, and I tell you, Jamar Chase, Offensive Rookie of the Year, and just so many great awards. And I tell you what, man, my heart is definitely, you kind of want to see the Cinderella story. As I was talking to someone earlier, you and I were talking a little bit too. But I slept pretty good last night. I kept thinking, I said, I go back to 2007, 2008, when this guy named Matthew Stafford was going to Highland Park High School, the Scots. It's a 6A football team up around Dallas. that definitely one of the most prestigious high schools to go to out there. Get drafted out of the University of Georgia. Just seeing the kid down here, him and a lot of people that may not know the story, himself and Dodgers pitcher Clayton Kershaw were high school teammates in baseball and stayed on to be very good friends now through their pro careers in their respective sports. My heart's in it too, because I'll say this, the football power index for ESPN predicts a Rams victory 66.3% of the simulations. And they're saying right now 5.6 points, which I still think, the -4, +4 either side. But the 5.6, I could see it. I could.
I mean, I got 4.5 yesterday, and it's up to 5.6. I just really think a lot of folks are going to be surprised. And the reason why is because Burrow and Chase, McPherson, their kicker, these rookies, these guys that are 1, 2 years, 3 years in the league, they have no fear. They're in the no fear syndrome right now because they don't have the weight of what's coming on to them. The Rams is a very aged, seasoned team. I mean, they have picked, and they went out and got veterans. They went out and got people that have played this game who are good at the game. They put them all together. That being said, you don't have a ton of rookies on the Rams team. So that big win, for the Super Bowl this year is in that head. And so they're not just fighting the Bengals. They're fighting themselves right now, about how they can handle the bright lights today and that the audacity of what the Super Bowl is. Being in the league for, a decade, that really every year, the closer you get, the more weight you can establish mentally. And right now, Burrow's been playing very smart ball. The trick is right now is all I can say is I've been saying this from week one, the ground game, establishing your players. I think if I was, McVay, if I was the quarterback, I was somebody, I would want some relief on me. I would want the running back to do their job today. If you're a Rams team, you better walk out and you better start Sony Michel today.
I agree.
He's
that's my ace back, no doubt. And
for your team, Akers and Henderson will be great if you need to pile him in, to give him a breather, give him some refreshers, or if you're going to go out and do some sort of, dump passes or screens or something. Akers is great for that. But right now, you need the guy that's been playing for 22 weeks, the guy who's ran for over 100 yards whenever he was the guy who's having to tote the ball. Henderson's not, he just come off of that MCL sprain or ACL sprain. And then you got Akers who literally came back in and shouldn't even been here this year. And I think it's a blessing to have them dynamically, but you should account for somebody that can tote the ball. Mixon's going to have that rock 20 times. With that being said, I think the Bengals are going to have a better opportunity to give Burrow a little bit more relief, and Mixon is going to be a threat. You can't just come out here and have a shootout with these teams. Their defenses are good. And, nothing against Tennessee. And that's one of the issues that I don't like to discuss because I still am a huge Tennessee fan. That's my team. I still don't think we're putting enough attention on our offensive line, which goes to show that's why they got those sacks. I'm not sure that they didn't go out and have a really great lineup on their offensive line for the Bengals. I think their offensive line is a little stronger than Tennessee's is.
Well, and I said this, a game of matchups, you talked about this, both defenses, it's kind of the bend, don't break mentality, too, at the same time. We know the gadget plays are going to be run. We know Sean McVay loves to do some gadget plays. We know the home run threat down the field is Jamar Chase. And I'll say this, the preseason, going back to it, too, as you and I love to look at stats, and we were talking about this yesterday, Rams had a 10.7% chance to make the Super Bowl per the power index. The Bengals, 0.4 chance. And then they asked 76 experts to weigh in on the win. Rams were picked by 43 of them, so that's about 57%. Bengals 43%. So definitely, we know what to expect. We know how good the run has been for Zach Taylor and the Bengals, no longer the Bungles when it comes down to it. But this is a new era, and this is not the Boomer Esiason Bengals. This is not the team that faced the 49ers a couple of Super Bowls in the past for the first time in 30 years. So it's a young kid playing with a lot of confidence. He's won at every level he's been at, from high school to college, and even at LSU. Ohio State, he transferred to at the same time. It's a kid that knows how to win in the clutch. And if I'm Los Angeles, if I'm mouthing off too much, I just might want to hit the field and back it up a little bit. Like I said, do all that talking, but let my play on the field do the talking too, right?
Yeah. Well, I think another key factor is too, you're going to have to stretch the field a different way. Cup is obviously going to be a guy that no one's been able to stop all year. Don't be fooled that somebody's going to come in and have some sort of strategy from watching all week, all last 2 weeks. They have literally probably beat every angle and everything he does. Cup is a phenomenal player. I watched him in the combine, and I knew that guy was going to be somebody who's special. Told my brother, you need to go watch this cat, and I was right. He is a more successful Edelman. His ability is just to somehow always be open, and even be in tight coverage and still come away with the ball in a very clean way. It's not always the fanciest way he accomplishes it, but he hangs on to it. He's got good mechanics. He's got great cutting abilities. He's not the fastest player out there, even though he's got decent speed. But his football mentality is just off the charts, and that's really in great hands. So when you're looking at that player, everyone knows he's a threat. So what concerns me is Higbee is out, but Blanton filled in nicely for him. I think having Odell Beckham come in, Beckham's going to get a lot more attention with Higbee out today. So that's somebody I should be keeping an eye on. And if you got DFS, I would suggest him. And honestly, if you're playing, DraftKings, man, pick up the kicker, pick up McPherson. That guy's getting 12, 16 points a game, and honestly, it might come down to that. As strong as the Rams defense is, and as strong as they are on that line, in red zone, you might see yourself, 3 or 4 field goals.
I kind of look at this too as one of those factors out there too at the same time, because I know he's going to make plays. He was pivotal in the regular season, and even in the 3 games that they played against the Cardinals come out, of course, that week 5 or week 6 and blast them 37-20 in that regular season game, lose a close one at home, and of course the playoff game in the wild card round to wrap up Super Wild Card weekend. So we know the front line we talked about is going to be a factor. But Aaron Donald specifically, I got a question for you about this, because this is probably one of the most devastating pass rushers that I've seen since the days of Charles Haley, the days of Reggie White. And of course, we can just, Michael Strahan, we can go on and on and on with the best players up there. But if there's one thing missing, and we always talk about this from a quarterback standpoint too, to me, I don't really feel like a quarterback is a Hall of Famer unless the stats are just overwhelming, a.k.a. Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, that kind of thing. Now, it's unfortunate they didn't win a championship. For Aaron Donald, does he need this now? Because that's one thing he's missing on his resume is the title. And I think for the city of Los Angeles to get one for the first time since moving back to LA in 2016, of course, Kurt Warner led them to the only championship they've had in franchise history in '99, close game against the Titans in the Super Bowl when St. Louis and Dick Vermeil was a head coach. And congratulations to Dick Vermeil just getting in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. Aaron Donald, where do you see this being? If I lose this game, players know how hard it is to get back. Winning this game, does that cement the resume and cement the legacy of Aaron Donald?
It's not Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, if you're looking at a situation where a guy plays great until he gets up to the big game, they lose the big game, Aaron Donald is not a quarterback. The weight of his success and his caliber of play cannot be based upon their wins or their losses. He is one player. Unless you expect that one player to tote your entire team on defense, he's not the quarterback of the defense.
Well, he could today. He really could. I feel like he could be a huge impact on the game. Yeah.
Could be a key factor. I agree with that. You also got Von Miller, who's no slouch.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And Leonard Floyd and Eric Waddle. And, yeah. Yep. And Ramsey.
Today, Ramsey's going to have to step up and be the guy who's going to cover Chase. And this is going to be the defining factor if he is a true elite cornerback, a true elite secondary. So, you say that about Donald, but there's a lot of other guys out there that have the same weight on them today. Hall of Fame players, to get that jacket, to get that bust, you need to be a consistent player. That's what the successes are. You may not make it to Super Bowl. Super Bowls are not, in my mind, a defining factor if you're a legend. It's on how well you played, how consistently you played, and how much you lifted your team up in the moments they needed it most. Now, a lot of that times that will lead to a Super Bowl win, but I don't think it's a necessary thing for Aaron I don't, at all. I think he's already established himself. I think he's handled himself very well in the league as well. Represented his team in the highest faction, and I think combination of character and class, as well as the combination of how well you play and how well you raise your team up to that next level. He's done all of that, so I don't believe any question about that. I think in his heart of hearts, when I went back to the basics of telling you, hey, these guys got more pressure on them, that just amplifies that. So I mean, thinking about the question that you ask, how do you think they're thinking about it? How do you think they're feeling about it? So, that's the worry for me for the Rams. That's really one of the key worries. Are they going to be able to get mentally through this game and not weigh on those little details that really don't matter within the next 4 quarters?
Stat, I was talking to you, I think it was Friday. We were just talking about going over the matchup, getting ready for the show and show prep, and looking at the third Super Bowl matchup. Now, this is a pretty cool stat out there. This is where I say bend but don't break, and somebody's going to make the plays if they have to make the plays when it comes to the critical time in the fourth quarter. But third Super Bowl matchup featuring an offense sacked 50-plus times during the regular season, that being the Bengals. So Burrow obviously was on his back a lot. And a defense that racked up 50-plus sacks in the Los Angeles Rams. Pretty cool when you look at stuff like that. And I know it's only the third time ever. So both of these teams have figured out how to play big game football. And I think that's the big thing as you talk about when it comes to matchups and things like that. It's the one team. It's always turnovers, critical in the ball game too as well. It's those 2-minute drives at the end of each half too that make the point at the end of the first half, before halftime, and of course the end of the football game itself. And like I said, knowing how the practice has been all week, if everybody's in sync. So this is I just felt it was a pretty cool stat to kind of go in there. 50 sacks for the Bengals and 50 sacks that the Rams racked up too at the same time. And we talk so much about Aaron Donald, but Trey Hendrickson's going to be a factor on that Bengals side too.
There's absolutely a truth in that, man. And I really think there's some sneaking. I would say there's some sneaky players on the Bengals defense that could really disrupt the situation. When you're throwing that ball, you're trying to get just over that line and just outside those numbers, or if you're running in the middle of the field, there's going to be some guys who are really, really stepped up for the Bengals this year and made some major plays. And we saw that against the Chiefs. When they need to step up. Honestly, the Chiefs' second half looked horrible. They could have had that game in the bag, and they were up. Because
they had to score one more time. They had the game in the bag. Forgot. Like, come on, man. At 24 points, I'm going. Just get to 31. Get to 31. Kick the extra point.
But the thing is, though, is Tennessee screwed up the same way. They took a chance. I mean, why would you go for you're already ahead in the beginning? Why would you not kick that field goal when you get it? I mean, that's what cost them the game. Playing smart ball, taking the points. This isn't Madden 22. This is real football, gentlemen. This is a real situation with real things happening, real things occurring. So you're going to have to step up and not take those drastic chances when you don't have to. Put points on the board. Be very safe when it comes to handling that ball. Do not cause turnovers, fumbles, interceptions. Just like you can. Don't be Akers and don't run down the field and fumble the ball in the 2 minutes when you're up by 3 or 4. I mean, those are the type of things that we have to do. Protect that ball. And that's going to be a major factor. So Stafford is a major, major thing with Stafford right now. I watched him play weeks, 14, 15, 13. 2 or 3 interceptions. We can't have that.
He can't afford that, no doubt.
And he's 3 in the playoffs, but the fact is, if he wasn't 3 on the playoffs, he wouldn't be here. So, we can talk about what they won in the playoffs, but when it comes down to it, it's one game, 2 teams. That's it. One victor.
Winner go home, and nobody remembers second place too as well. Well, I can tell you this, more to come here on Outlaw Fantasy. Got to get a word in for the sponsors for MitchMax.com and, of course, Bangtail Whiskey.
Hey,
come back here.
Hey,
what's that?
Show them what they're making you.
What they're? Oh yeah, let me do that too. Well, that's always a good plug when you get to do that too. So at MitchMax, and this is one of the cool things, and I think I showed it on the show the other day, but coffee mugs are out there right now. MITCH, and of course, the cool thing I never thought I'd have my own coffee mug, which is good. And
right,
if I reach back here, You can actually get yours online too right now. But we have the Backstage Pass hoodies.
Look at that. And if you guys are really lucky, you can even have your own coffee mug. On the other side will be my face.
You could probably put that on there too, which will be, well, I would drink coffee out of that. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
So a word here from Mitch Max. You can get your hoodie. There's stuff for ladies there on the website too at the same time. Coffee mugs, caps, There's a whole lot. Here's Mitch Max telling you about it more. We're coming back. It's Outlaw Fantasy. We're coming back and talk a lot about potential Super Bowl MVPs. You probably can guess where we're going with that here in just a little bit. Right now, time out here on Outlaw Fantasy. Hang tight. Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, and Karen Lee Batten as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass.
The Bangtail boar is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
And back here on the show again, it's Outlaw Fantasy special live edition for Super Bowl 56. Kickoff at 5:30 today from SoFi Stadium there in the beautiful, beautiful Inglewood, California, Los Angeles. Of course, so much on the line for two teams. Like CJ said, one goes home. Nobody remembers second place. And I guess if you do, that's the fan base of the team that finishes in second place. No pun intended there. But my team didn't make it, so I can't speak on behalf of that. Congratulations to the Rams and the Bengal fans. Hey, let's talk about this potential game breakers, MVPs. I think it starts with the receivers, no doubt, because both these offenses are very, very explosive. I mean, Cooper Kupp this year, 145 receptions. Just under 2,000 yards, 1947, 16 touchdowns. Jamar Chase, 81 catches, 1,455 yards with 13 scores, 279 receiving yards in the postseason. It's the most among rookies in a single playoffs. And he's the only rookie receiver to have multiple 100-yard receiving games in a playoffs. So I think if you're talking about game breakers, MVPs, where's it going to come from? I'm going to go ahead and say it's Super Bowl MVP for me, Cooper Kupp.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't be wrong.
And the flip side of it, you're right. If you're going Bengals, you could say the same for Jamar Chase.
Or Joe Burrow, because he's going to be the one.
You could,
You got to look at who's going to handle the ball the most in this game. Who's going to make the least amount of mistakes, and who's going to make the most impactful decisions, or one of those plays that you never forget, And Cooper Kupp has a lot of opportunity to do that because of the way he plays. Stafford, I think, would have a harder time on the Rams side being a Super Bowl MVP than Kupp, because how well Kupp plays and how well he shines. If you're looking at the Bengals side, Jamar Chase is phenomenal, but Joe Burrow has got to be phenomenal as well in order to get that ball to him. And they do have a really, really great threat. Uzama is potentially going to be playing today. I can't say yay or nay if I'm pleased to see him on the field or not. I think if he's healthy enough, he will. He was in full pads Friday without Higbee being in, but you still have Boyd, you still have Higgins, and you still have, Chase out there. So on the other side, you got Blanton. He's not your number one guy on tight end in the Rams, but you also have, Odell Beckham who's been playing really phenomenal ball for the Rams. I think it's just a good environment for him. I haven't seen Beckham play this well since he left the Giants, and after that, he just seemed to kind of be lost. I don't think their play scheme. I don't think Mayfield's the type of QB to give him that opportunities he needed. I think Stafford definitely is a deep threat quarterback, so he needs that. So when it comes for me for MVPs, I think it'd be Joe Burrow on that side for the Bengals. But if it's on the Rams side, I would definitely go with Kupp. And and honestly, you don't see a lot of defensive MVPs, but there's a lot of opportunity for Donald or Von Miller or somebody to step up and really make the plays of the game that could be a game changer. And so what happens if this turns into, we only get two touchdowns and the rest is all field goals? Then that's gonna divert over to where it's a defensive, mechanism for us to look at who is the most impactful player of the game. That's what an MVP is. Most valuable
Evan McPherson could turn out to be that guy, and so could Matt Gay.
Well, I ain't never seen a kicker win an MVP award. Have you?
Well, I'm just saying, taking not an MVP award. I know,
but
but I mean, as far as what he did in the playoffs, he hadn't missed yet. I mean, the guy's been money.
What I'm saying though is he could be the most valuable player. It doesn't mean he's going to receive.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he could.
But I absolutely do see that gentleman showing up. I mean, he's already broke all kinds of records, and he's winning these guys games. It's being that clutch kicker for years down the road that helps you win that situation. So for me, if the defense is turning into that, yeah, absolutely, man. And Gay on the other side is also, stout. I mean, you don't see him missing a ton. One thing I want to look at though is you talked about how receptions, how the receivers are going to be a key factor in this game. You have to look at also Burrow and you have to look at Stafford's stats. I mean, one's thrown for 280 yards per, averaging 280. The other one's averaging 278, 276, I believe it is. And that's not much different numbers. When it comes to them, how many touchdowns scored per game, one's got 2.65, the other one's got 2.8. That's not a lot of difference. I mean, these QBs, honestly, if you go down to statistics, they're pretty even this year across the board. So defense, across the board, pretty even. So when you really lay them down on paper, these teams are matched very evenly right now.
And I'll say this too, when it comes down to it, I look for the schemes, the matchups to be very good. When Raheem Morris is going to call there, and definitely the deep ball, we talked about that too, not let Chase having the busted coverage on the backside there if they're trying to play cover 2 or zone to that side. We know Jalen Ramsey is going to be on him. Another stat I loved here, Burrow and Chase connected on 14 deep fade routes. So that deep fade is going to be critical for Raheem to call some schemes there and defend the deep fade route. 517 yards and 6 touchdowns, all of which were the most by a duo over the past 5 seasons. So this is a key, stopping the deep fade route. And of course, definitely I say this, it's easier to play zone on that side, but somebody is going to be open for the short dink and dunk passes, which is going to leave the middle of the field wide open. So I think looking at this defensively, what Raheem wants to do is attack, like you said, penetration from the line, 6-7 guys in the box, get as much pressure on him, get him on his back, collapse the pocket. And at the same time, if this becomes a safety linebacker game for the Rams, which those guys you want making plays, you always want your linebackers and safeties involved, but you don't want them too much when they're coming downhill, and that run opens up the play action. So I think one of the biggest things you and I talked about yesterday was, can the Bengals get some type of running game going and able to run the football, which opens up then play action. If they do, that's going to force Rams safeties Weddle to get downfield.
I'm going to tell you right now, I think the Bengals are going to have a better run game than the Rams today, and you can quote me on that.
Okay,
I'm confident they are. You can't hand 3 guys the ball 12 times a piece and expect some sort of momentum for that player. They're not even right. It's like being a performing musician. If I get up on stage, I might be a little fresh on the first 3 songs, but once I get in my stride rolling, man, we're rocking, we're rolling, we're feeling the vibe. That running back needs to feel the vibe. And honestly, if you're out there in DFS, if you're doing prop bets, man, put Mixon in this week. 2 weeks ago, he did not see the end zone, but I don't see that happening again. There's going to be somebody that breaks out and breaks away. I think Kupp, I think Mixon, I even, Chase, as much as they're going to be on him, as fast as he is, it's going to be hard to keep that guy out of the end zone. Even Beckham, I think we're going to go over 48.5. I don't see us going under. I do think there's going to be a shootout. It might be a slow first half, but these guys and these teams both lit it up, and all the games the second half. I don't think this is going to be any different. It's just a situation where, I believe Mixon is going to have a better opportunity to get his stride, to get his momentum, get his confidence. P. Ryan, he has zero runs attempts last 2 weeks ago, but he had 4 completions for 46 yards, 47 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, that answers your question. But on the other side, you got the Rams, and I mean, you got Akers, you got Anderson, you got Michelle. Michelle needs to be the guy. I know they love Akers. I know Akers is their starting back. I know he looks good, but he has not had the entire season to prepare and be ready for this. It's just not fair.
One of the cool things, I think, going into this matchup, too, we talked about the sacks, and, of course, the Rams sacking teams over 50 times. The Bengals allowing the offensive line, allowing Burrow to be on his back 51 times, I think, to be exact. Points per game for these teams this year, 27.1, identical. Given up now, 18-3 for the Rams, 19-7 for Cincinnati. I mean, how much more evenly matched can you be, brother? And you look at total yards, 386 to 385.
People are not realizing, being that Burrow and these guys, Bengals, are a Cinderella team. There's also this little, air of, I guess, history that comes with the Bengals. People look at how long it's been since they've been to playoff, how long it's been since they've been to a Super Bowl, how long it's been since they were literally, the laughing stock of their division for a while. But I think all teams go through that rut. All teams go through that drought. They made some very smart decisions in the draft. They knew what they were doing. They picked up Burrow. They knew what they were doing when they came back and got Burrow's buddy, Chase. I mean, they've done this before. And if you look at this, from high school to college to now, Burrow has not lost in any of his championships. This would be a first for him. So him leaving today as second place would be a first for him. So with that air of confidence and that level of trust that he has in himself and his team has, that can be a dangerous thing. And with them evenly matched like that, that's why I keep saying, they might be underdogs, but don't leave them out. For me, my heart of hearts, I would love to see Stafford go home. I'd love to see Darnold go home with a win, because how long they've been in the league, I think this is not going to be Burrow's only Super Bowl. I think they're going to have a chance. But at the end of the day, I'm fine whichever way the pendulum swings.
All right, I'm going to run off this because we got about 10 minutes left in the show, but I want to run off some bold predictions. And this is kind of the segment we're going to start now going into future shows of Outlaw Fantasy toward the draft and free agency and things like this. So just some things that I put together last night doing some little research. Had some time on my hands at a 1-year-old birthday party, so I did have some time on my hands to get some stuff done. We had a great time at the party, but some bold predictions. This is a new segment we're unveiling here and moving forward as we do Outlaw Fantasy for weeks to come. All right, and I'll just kind of throw some things out there on some things that I kind of see happening, and then you tell me if you agree or disagree with this. All right, Aaron Donald.
No.
He caught me off guard then. Aaron Donald, 2 sacks. Rams have 4 as a team. Your thoughts? Agree or disagree?
I agree.
Okay. I just had to do that too as well, because I mean that's the mismatch is going to you're going to find that early and often. You're right about both defenses kind of doing the pecking order, and I think they're going to see some 3-and-outs there from the first several series. But I just want to make sure that that's there for you. All right, Tyler Boyd, 7 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown. Does it happen?
No.
Okay. All right, slot receiver.
Disagree.
Disagree. All right, so favorable matchups there, and like you said, if they're doubling Chase, watch out for Tyler Boyd. Huh?
The reason why is because Odell Beckham is going to be the guy on the Rams side that's going to act as that guy. And for the Bengals, it's going to be Higgins. I watched Higgins and his completion percentage. Even though you have Chase, even though he stretches that field, I had Higgins on my fantasy this year. I had him there last year. The guy averages 12 catches a game. I mean, always open whenever he needs him. And Boyd is supposed to be the slot guy, but when it comes down to it, Higgins is a guy who gets open. And whenever they're in a clutch situation, he's the one who gets that first down.
Yeah, it's well, and you got the Rams leading pass rush too at the same time. So those little dink and dunks, inside slant routes, hot routes are going to be there all day.
So if you put Higgins in place of Boyd, then I'll say yes.
Okay, all right. Running backs, and this is where I agree with you more on this one because of the way that Los Angeles is going defensively during the season. Los Angeles only allowed 54 yards a game. That's why they led the league in pass rush and penetration. The Rams defense allowed 127 a game. Do we flip the script in the Super Bowl?
No, because they're not going to allow momentum. They're going to do it. They're going to do a hydra out there with the three-headed running back situation. The guys are averaging under 2.8 yards per carry. It's pitiful. I mean, that's pitiful. You need to be above 3.2 per carry at least minimum to even compete. With Mixon having that rock, he's looked great this year. He is a downhill back.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me so much of those roughneck backs, when you're looking at like Bo Jackson and guys like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying he is Bo Jackson. I'm just saying that they're a meaty back. They're not a giant guy, but when they're coming through there, they're getting that extra 1 and 2 yards that matter. They're falling forward, not backwards. With Akers and those guys, man, I've watched them hit walls and they just ain't gone nowhere. And honestly, Michelle would be your guy. And I'm going to say that over and over again because today, if I saw what I saw the last of these playoffs, there's no commitment. I mean, the one time they did commit to Akers and he ran the ball 24 times, it was abysmal. It was I'm not blaming him because he just came in. It was his first real full game, but it was horrible.
All right, he led his team in yards from scrimmage in the AFC Championship game, 115 yards per scrimmage. Talking about Joe Mixon, does he have more than 90 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown?
I think he's going to reach the touchdown. I'm not sure he's still going to get the 90 yards because this is going to be an aerial assault. He is going to get the ball quite a bit of times, but that's a very stout defense that he's running against. I would say closely I can safely say he'll reach 76 yards. But I don't
think we did under 90 in one of our props too. I don't think we actually that one I would have to disagree with from.
Yeah, I'm just not confident unless he ends up getting some situation where he bursts through a hole that's just wide open and he runs for 60 yards and pulls off a 30 or 40 yard run in one swoop, then he could pull that off. But right now I'm safely going to say 76 and a half. And touchdown. I definitely agree on the touchdown.
I do too. I agree with that. And of course, if you're Zach Taylor, just like any head coach out there, you want to keep establish that running game, no doubt, to keep that Rams offense off the field. The longer they stay on the field, the more explosive they are. T. Higgins, will he win the Super Bowl MVP?
No.
Okay, I like that too. I will say this: 53% catch rate and is averaging 7.9 yards per target against man-to-man this season. So,
but he's got Jamar Chase and he's got Boyd. Joe Burrow is going to be your MVP if the Bengals win. Joe Burrow have more balls in his hand than all three of those players this game, and that's what's going to be the defining factor.
Okay, all right. Let's look at the quarterback matchup. We've talked a little bit about it too. Stafford, 12 years in Detroit. Burrow in his second year after actually being drafted number 1, winning the Heisman. You mentioned never lost the championship game. To me, I put the past with 12 years. I'm always kind of a guy. You've done this in the music business. I've done this in the broadcast business. Pay your dues to get to the top. It's awesome because nothing in life is instant gratification. Does this type of scenery, or will it, favor Matthew Stafford? And does this take Joe Burrow, not necessarily out of the context of conversation with one of the best young quarterbacks of all time? We know that. But if Stafford wins this game, does Burrow ever get back?
Oh, yeah, easily. Look at Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree.
Example that young, you take your bumps and bruises and you learn from them and you grow. As a one of the older cats on the block, it's going to be a lot harder beating. It's like when you're younger and you go out and you have a good time, you drink. That hangover don't hurt nearly as bad as when the old boy steps up and he's been doing this a while and he wakes up tomorrow and has to deal with it. Basically that rubbing it off. Age comes wisdom, but it also comes repercussions of time. And with Burrow, he can shuck this off. He can turn around. He can be here next year if he really wants to be. And if they keep everything like they're doing, I mean, they're improving. They're getting better. Now, one thing I can say, I think the repercussions of a loss are going to be drastic for the Rams. If they lose, they put so
I
much
agree with
into
that.
this, so much money.
Morgan's the future, no doubt. Yeah.
And it's pretty much, win or bust for them.
Mm-hmm.
The repercussions of a loss for the Bengals is we made it to the Super Bowl and no one gave us a damn chance, and yet here we are. So all it's going to be is fuel to the fire for them. They're not going to. I don't really think it's going to hurt them losing this game. I mean, but the Rams, buddy, you might see a whole lot of stuff.
All right, let's do this one, and we'll take a break, come back, and then put a little bow on the this week's Outlaw Fantasy and Super Bowl show. Bengals 6-1. Chase goes for more than 100 yards. If that happens, they win the game, and Chase win the MVP.
No, I don't. I mean, I think he's going to go for 100 yards. I do. Okay. I think he'll break that 102.5. I think, which is what we picked on the over.
Which we did. Yep.
And just to be safe, you got to play the devil's advocate. You got to jump one and play the opposite. I mean, spending a couple dollars on bets. The turnaround on those odds on props are drastic. I've got one bet. It's a $5 bet, and if I hit everything on it, it's $12,000. I mean, you got to look at the momentum of the opportunity, and we got to look at also saying, hey, I believe this is going to happen, but could this happen? And play both sides if you're playing because you're no longer parlaying games to where this can work, that can work. You're playing players, you're playing over, you're playing under, and you're like as for me, I like to know. There's always a key bet which is very popular. Who is the first touchdown scorer of this game? What is your opinions on that, Brandon?
First one of the game, and I'm going to come out and say it because I'm about to reveal, let it all come out like a waterfall. Cooper Kupp gets in the end zone first, bottom line. I've seen it all year.
Do you think he's going to score 2 touchdowns this game?
I think Kupp gets 3.
Whoa. And will any of those be a rushing?
And is my Super Bowl MVP.
Will any of those be a rushing touchdown by Kupp?
For Kupp, no.
No.
There's no way hell. And I'll say this they put up what's that?
I said he's not Debo.
He's not Debo Samuel, no. 76 experts weighed in. 30 picked Burrow to win the MVP. Stafford is the betting favorite, plus 120 at Caesars, and Burrow is plus 220. Kupp is plus 700. Chase is plus 1,200. Now, sneaky here if people want to get odds out there. Donald's plus 1,800. So
well,
take it or leave it.
Like I said, if he ends up becoming a key factor, him or Miller or any of those other guys, like you said, on the Bengals side, defensive players can win this thing, but it's got to be the perfect storm. These defenses have got to put enough pressure on these QBs. They got to stop the run, and they got to prevent any big game plays. I mean, if Chase or Kupp stretches that field, that's no longer going to be a factor, and we both know that.
I'll say this too, because and you're right about this. Mixon rushed for over 1,200 yards this year, and I believe 16 touchdowns. And I'm gonna go off on this. We know the Rams play heavy zone when it comes down to it. You talked about Donald Miller, and we've talked about this so much, so we're kind of blue in the face too as well. But if you don't get that run game going, brother, to open up the play action,
right on. Well,
watch out. This is going to be tough, and that's why I'm heavy on it too. And I'm saying Los Angeles by 7. It's my pick. So,
really, I'm going to take Bengals by 2.
Okay. I see that coming down to the line too. You're right.
And I'm going to say, I think it's going to come back. I think it's going to come down to McPherson's foot at the end of this. And I could even go as far as to saying I've watched how this playoff has went. It has been an amazing playoff.
It has.
This could be a bet where you can go into your props and say this Super Bowl could go into overtime.
That very well could happen. We've seen some games kind of get there, and some very well played football games when it comes to X's and O's by a lot of great coaches, a lot of great coaching in the playoffs, and so it's been one hell of a postseason, no doubt.
Before a snap ever even gets made, I got a bet for you.
Shoot, what you got?
Heads or tails?
I know who's going to go this. I'm going to go heads.
All right. Yeah, it has to go there. I mean, it's a bet.
It is.
Go and bet it.
I'm going to say this. Heads, Rams win the toss. Drive down the field, the length of it. Cooper Kupp end zone, 7-0.
Woo! That's audacious.
Put him on his heels and see how the youngster comes out there and responds in his first Super Bowl.
I think it's tails.
Okay, all right. Which I could see.
I still think it's a Rams ball. And I think that the Bengals are going to stop them on the first drive.
Well, you better hope Trey Hendricks is dry out there too on the edge, setting the edge, no doubt, and line up exclusively on that particular side. He ranked 9th in pass rush win rate at the edge, so I'm hoping that I'm with you on that too at the same time. I will say this, the X factor for me when it comes to Los Angeles, we talked about the defense offensively, is the 40-year-old left tackle, Andrew Whitworth, coming off a stellar season. My God, he's good. Awesome. Protects it too as well. That Stafford blindside. So your picks are sneaky, but I look at O-line play as much as I look at D-line play too.
Yep.
Whitworth's a star for me.
And Whitworth, he did it. He's done some good stuff. He won his honors this year and earned it. This might be his last game.
Could be.
But what he's done and the stuff that he's done, I'm going to tell you right now, the guy's earned it. I mean, I really do overall, as veterans and lover of the game, I do hope the Rams honestly come out on it because they've got more invested. They've got more risk. They got, and so therefore they get more reward. Burrow, I think the young guys have an opportunity to come back and do it again. But they've also played so well that I can't take away that win for them. But when you ask me about, how somebody plays a game, how somebody shows up, if you're inside your head, it's such a heavy thing, I mean, think about golf. You're out there, you're having a good time. You take one bad swing, or that thing heads off to the woods instead of the fairway. It just can mess up your next 6 swings. And I mean, that's my concern for this veteran team.
This is going to be a matchup for the ages, no doubt. I got a little surprise at the inside linebacker position. Did some more research last night, and a guy who out of the University of South Carolina. We'll talk about too. This is kind of like this hidden gem for both teams. So we talked about the X factor too. I'm going to give you one for the Bengals and one for the Rams. I think could be X factors in this game. One's a hell of a rookie, plays inside linebacker. We're going to come back after the break, let you know who that is. It's Outlaw Fantasy presented by Bangtail Whiskey and our good friends over at MitchMax.com. where you can head over there right now and get you a coffee mug and a hoodie, which is right there too at the same time. And make sure. What's that?
I said I can be on this other side of that cup. Just keep in your mind, guys. Best part of waking up is CJ on your cup.
On your cup. So there you go. A little hoodie and a lot more for ladies' tank tops and things like that. Breaking it for Mitch Max. And, of course, we're coming back. Reveal the X factors and put a bow on this show here. Coming right back here, it's Outlaw Fantasy, Bangtail Whiskey, MitchMax.com. We appreciate that. Of course, the backstage pass all week this week and leading up to CRS Country Radio Seminar, February 23rd to 25th at the Omni Hotel. Some great guests there. Shannon Doa, Craig Campbell, John Barry is going to join us, and a whole lot more. Just got word. Cooper Allen, and, of course, Caitlin Smith, and just so many great artists there. CJ and I doing our live football show from somewhere in Nashville too that week too as we get ready for the offseason. We'll keep you posted on who's leaving, where they're going, how much they're signing for as we head toward April and the 2022 NFL Draft. We're coming back after a timeout. Stay tuned.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-hosts Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, and Karen Lee Batten as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here, Outlaw Fantasy, just a few minutes left here. We're going to give you some impact players, of course, on the rookie side, and some X factors to look at, or some under-the-radar impact players there, too. And we'll start with this one here, again, presented by Bangtail Whiskey and MitchMax.com. Back here with CJ Garten. It is Outlaw Fantasy, our Super Bowl edition. X factor here, one of the best slot corners in the league, Mike Hilton. We've talked about this. And Cooper Kupp lining out very wide. When he runs a route, too, don't let him loose. Hilton figures to kind of line up the opposite side of the star receiver. Mike Hilton, question to you. Where do you see – I mean, this is obviously a critical matchup, no doubt. Can Mike Hilton get the job done?
You know, I think he can with a combination of help from his team. The dangerous thing about Kupp is he's not like Chase. He's not just a deep threat. He's a versatile, I'd call him a Swiss Army receiver. Mm-hmm. He can play the spot. I mean, he's got those cut routes. He's great even in between players. I mean, he can stretch the field. He has an amazing ability to get open, and even when he's not open, he's amazing enough to be able to make plays. So This is the factor. Are you going to play the ball, or are you going to play the player?
Yep.
And so it's the same. Are you going to try to go for that interception? Or are you going to try to disrupt and get that ball out of Kupp's hands? Because he is a very sure-handed player. So with that being said, I think he could do well, but I think also Von Miller is supposed to step in and really be a big factor, on that. So depending on, where he's at on the field and what that play is basically asking, I think the Bengals need to show up as a whole and really keep an eye on Kupp.
All right, speaking of that too, and we'll kind of let it go here with a couple more props at the end here, but I definitely will look at the rookies in this game, and a guy that I see standing out as a guy who could have a potential, had a great regular season there. The inside linebacker, it's going to come down for me, linebacker play, and it always does in a football game, or usually it should be if defense is played, no doubt. Ernest Jones, inside linebacker for the Rams, rookie out of South Carolina, 61 tackles. He was a third-round pick and 2 picks during the regular season. Definitely gets in there with Weddle and, of course, Leonard Floyd, Ramsey. And then, of course, I got to give the Bengals line a little bit of love, too. Jackson Carman, he was a second-rounder in 21, played all 17 games, 87.7% pass block win rate. So keeping Donald off of him, that interior pass rush we talk about, which is number 1 in the league for the Rams. Jackson Carman, Ernest Jones. I'm going Ernest Jones.
Yeah, I agree with you there, man. Ernest Jones, I think there's going to be a situation where it has to come down to protection in the game. And, I'd like to see the Rams really push Burrow where he's running for his life. I don't see that as dominantly happening on the Bengals side of the defense, attacking Stafford. If they can do that, the Bengals are going to win the game.
All right, let's do some props real quick. We took advantage of these yesterday, and I tell people out there, too, if you're tuning us in live or you're going to watch this back before kickoff at 5:30, total passing yards for Stafford, over under 280.5.
280.5. Wow. I put him at 259 over. Because prop bet, it honestly only went up just a little bit at that point, and it wasn't worth the odds. If I was going to do anything, I'd go under 305 on him.
Okay.
I think there's
and I'm with you there. I think Stafford goes. I mean, I just think that's 279, 275 a game this year. I just unless you're just getting pressure from that secondary, and I think it's right there too. At the same time, you let him stand in the pocket, he's going to eat you up all day. Short routes, dink and dunk, slants, things like that. Making plays, slot receivers, and Van Jefferson. We have not mentioned this entire broadcast. Is another weapon he's got too. But I'm going to go over the 280.5.
I mean, he's straight as a speedster. I mean, I think 280, 290 is a very realistic number. If they're going to win this game, you don't want to be out there throwing for 370 yards.
That's true.
So you're going to want to get your backs going. If they can do that, then yeah, he's going to be under the marker. If he's throwing for 350, it might be a nice stat, but they're probably going to lose that game because he's throwing to catch up, throwing for his life.
I'm with you on the running game being better with Joe Mixon, who was third in the league in rushing this year, over 1,200 yards. I just don't. I'm with you on the starting of, and I hope Sean McVay is there as a coach making great decisions. I think you got to start Sonny Michel, no doubt. We've talked about that to start broadcast. But I think the advantage in the running game goes to Cincinnati. So total passing yards for Burrow, over under 276.5. I'm going to go over. Yeah, no doubt about that. Total sacks by both teams, over under 5.
Mixon, actually, I know this sounds funny because I said the opposite about the Rams, but I'm going to say the opposite for the Bengals. With Mixon running the ball so well, he does it like he should. That's going to open up the pass game for Burrow. And Chase is going to be a deadly deep threat because that guy don't turn around and go, oh, I've got 5 yards. That guy turns around and says, oh, I've got, 65 yards. And that's what's happening. Hey, everybody, say hi to Okie.
He's one to talk some football, too. All right. Total sacks by – he's one to say, well, hello. I love him. I can't wait to meet him, too. Total sacks by both teams, over under 5. I'm going to go over.
Say that again.
Total sacks by both teams, over under 5.
Combined?
Combined.
Oh, yeah. Over. Absolutely. Over.
And then the last prop, and these are for people. We've done ours, but I'm just saying I'm throwing these out there.
I would even push it to 6.
Yeah, I probably would. I'm just throwing these out there for people that are tuning in that want to,
I'm going to say Aaron Donald is going to probably end up with 3 sacks today on his own. On his own.
I'm going to go over on this one. Total touchdowns, over under 5.5. I'm going over.
I'm going under.
I think I like, but you know what? I could see where you're coming from. I really could.
Yeah, I think there's going to be 3 to 4 touchdowns. I'd say 3 safely. 4, if you're going to push it, 5.5. No, I just don't see it. I think I see a lot of field goals in this game. I think you're going to see 4 touchdowns, and you're probably going to see at least 2 to 3 field goals from each side. I think that's where you're going to end up with that 27 points because you're going to end up with probably, a 14, 15-point game on touchdowns from each side. But you're going to end up having 4 field goals on each side because, they're going to get down the field, and both these defenses are too good to let this red zone situation turn into scores and touchdowns. I've watched it in the playoffs all year with them.
All right, let's. I like this because it's a great stat. You could tell I was doing my homework last night at a 1-year-old birthday party too. It's always fun to do this, but
your birthday party.
Yeah, I don't. There's nothing else to do. Of course, you know me before the big game. I'm going to do it anyway. Anybody knows me knows I'm a stat freak. All right, Super Bowl history. Favorites are 27, 26, and 2 straight up. And let's just say this: teams that have covered the spread in the Super Bowl have won the game outright each of the past 12 Super Bowls, including last year. Underdog Buccaneers won as a 3-point underdog. Do the Rams cover?
No.
Okay. I'm going to go yes, and I'm going to say 7.
I really don't think the Rams are going to pull it off today.
Okay. All right. Well, again, I'm a Cardinal fan, but of the people who pay their dues. And
if they do, they're going to have a hard time covering that 5.6. It went from what, 4, 2, 4,
yeah,
and bouncing around now 5-6 today. I don't know what it's down to right before the game kicks off. I'm guessing it's probably going to even out a little bit more to 5 flat, 4 point something. But right now, if it's 5-6 and it keeps climbing, somebody might as well just take that bet for circumstance. I think they're going to play better ball than that. I think we're looking at a field goal game.
I love this, and I'm gonna leave the folks with this. The Bengals were 125-1 to win the Super Bowl entering the season. Just the second team, 100-1 or longer, to reach it in the past 40 seasons.
Wow!
Guess who the other one was?
Woo!
Kind of karma's a you know what, but the other team that was out there, we're talking about 100-1 or more. 99 St. Louis Rams, 150-1. They won the football game.
The Rams.
St. Louis Rams now. Los Angeles Rams, 125-1, and it's the second team to reach it.
this isn't something we talked about before we close down the shop today. I want you to know that the Rams players all slept in their home beds last night.
That's a good point.
Got to do something that a lot of teams don't get to do. They're not on the road. The best way to win a game is have some normalcy to basically what you do throughout the season. This is something that they get to do on a regular basis. So if there is anything that is going to help that veteran team, is going to help that team overcome whatever the Super Bowl brings mentality-wise, is the fact that they get to play their home stadium. They get to sleep in their own bed.
And that's why I think.
Yeah. And so that being said, I'm going to leave you guys with that. I wish the Rams and the Bengals and the fans good luck. If anybody's out there following this live feed, we'll share it over to our pages here shortly. Y'all, please comment. And if we don't catch you live on the comments, we'll be sure and follow them up here shortly. Let us know what your stats, your thoughts, your ideas are. And, hey, have yourself a very, very wonderful
We'll have a good time, and I'm going to go grill and have a good time with immediate family. Both of us are hosting Super Bowl parties and enjoying it, and definitely this has been a blast going into covering the first NFL season for 2021, 2022. Just the beginning, scratching the surface here on the show. Been a pleasure to have CJ along and, of course, talk about music. And next week is the first season, the first show of the season of the off-season comings and goings. Of course, there's already rumblings out there with the head coaching hires that we're going to continue to follow. All vacancies have been filled, according to my knowledge, and everything out there. And, of course, now it's the maneuvering of the pieces post-Tom Brady era. Does Aaron Rodgers go for another team? Does he come back to Green Bay? All these unanswered questions are going to be things we put our heads together and give our opinions on Outlaw Fantasy as we head toward the 2022 NFL Draft coming up this year. Another one of those drafts that we're going to put a spin on and say, you know what? It may not be the best of the top prospects coming into it, but there are some hidden gems. And we're going to do our research on that too and throw out some names that really we think can have impact with their respective teams. There's plenty of them. Yeah.
There's going to be some amazing offensive line players, tackles, guards, centers. This is going to be an odd draft this year, and we'll get more into that. You guys just stay tuned because it's going to be a cliffhanger. Last several years, we've had a whole lot of offensive caliber quarterbacks, wide receivers, and some decent running backs like Najee. This year, it's time to start stacking that line, baby.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of teams had problems. Like I mentioned one down here, the Houston Texans, and of course others that need a little bit more oomph on the offensive line too. And there's a quarterback that I'm going to throw out there in closing here that I see having a huge impact on his football team, not necessarily becoming a Joe Burrow, but a quarterback that I see a lot of high upside on. Jack Cohn, who used to be at Wisconsin, transferred to Notre Dame, led him to a great season, and Brian Kelly's final season there too as well. So Jack Cohn is going to take over a franchise. I'm not going to say be the next Josh Allen, but pretty damn close to it. This kid has all the skills and all the upside to be a productive NFL quarterback.
Aaron Rodgers don't go to Pittsburgh. I'm sure Pittsburgh's going to be right there in the running for that fella.
Well, anything's better than Mason Rudolph, no doubt about that. We'll talk to you guys here on the show next week. Happy Super Bowl parties. Enjoy it. And definitely it's been a great ride with CJ here on the show. We're going to continue it going forward in Nashville in a couple of weeks at CRS 23rd to 25th of the month. We'll be there. And, of course, an Outlaw Fantasy show coming up there too as well. Some great talent. Legends joining us in the industry and the up-and-coming rising artists, the best and brightest in country music. Happy Super Bowl watching. We'll talk to you guys tonight on social media. I'm sure we'll have some comments to leave post-game and stuff like that. CJ, we talk. We're broadcasters. We do that. So I'm sure we'll have some cool things to leave out there too as well. Happy prop betting, and we'll see you guys next week on Outlaw Fantasy. As always, thanks to Bangtail Whiskey and, of course, our good friends at MitchMax.com. Happy Super Bowl watching. Enjoy it, and we'll see who comes out of it.
Yeah.
Talk to you guys soon. Take care.
Y'all so much. I'm CJ Garton, Mr. Brandon Morrell, and go stream Good Gone.
Make sure you go stream Good Gone. That's a great song, no doubt. We'll talk to you guys.
Crank it up before the game kicks off. You guys say the same thing on this, what do you call it, Good Morning Football.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times they can say the same thing in the next 5 hours. You will play some Good Gone and break up the monotony. Drink you some whiskey and make sure it is a little bit of a Dartmouth moonshine or some Bangtail. Y'all be blessed. Have a very safe and wonderful Super Bowl Sunday.
Talk to you guys soon. Take care.